What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be discussing one of the newest villains, or technically a group of villains to the Star Wars universe, those being the Drengir from the High Republic. This video is going to contain some fairly heavy spoilers in relation to Claudia Gray's Into the Dark, so if you do plan on reading Into the Dark, then I would definitely recommend clicking off this video and coming back once you have read it. But if you aren't planning on reading it and just want a quick breakdown of the Drengir and who exactly they are, then this is the video for you. If you end up enjoying this video, then be sure to leave a like down below and feel free to subscribe to the channel for more Star Wars and Star Wars gaming content. But with that out of the way, let's get stuck right into it. So at around the halfway point of Into the Dark, we are introduced to this new group of villains known as the Drengir, and they're definitely one of, if not the most unique characters that we've ever really seen before in Star Wars. The protagonists of the story have been on a space station in the middle of essentially nowhere, taking refuge from what's known as the Great Disaster. And at face value, this space station seems like pretty much just a huge botanical garden, even having a bunch of droids who are just there to take care of the plants and keep the space station under control. A huge part of the story is that there is some sort of dark side energy within this space station itself, and the Jedi seem to think that it is contained within these mysterious idols that are placed around the space station. The Jedi are unsure about what exactly these idols are and why they're just sitting here on this space station without any valid reason, and so once they're free to leave the space station and head back to Coruscant, they actually decide to take those idols with them in an effort to even further contain the dark side energy, as they plan on storing the idols in a tomb underneath the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, which is already filled with dark side energy, as that is actually where the old Sith Temple used to be before the Jedi built over the top of it. Now, very quickly do they learn that the idols they took were not actually filled with the dark side energy, but they were in fact holding back the dark side energy, almost like some sort of defense against something on that space station. And as soon as they learn that, they decide to go straight back and try and contain that dark side power on the space station, as otherwise people who travel there could get hurt by whatever it is that resides within the space station. Now, earlier on in the story, one of the Jedi who was with the group was actually believed to have died in a freak accident caused by these certain high-powered machines on the space station. However, it is quickly discovered by Reath Silas, the main character of the story, that this Jedi wasn't actually killed, rather he was essentially transported to another planet through these specially designed escape pods that were hidden in plain sight. Reath only finds out by accidentally causing the same thing to happen to him, and he finds himself on this unknown planet where he has his first encounter with the Drengir creatures. Now, the Drengir are described as large sentient plant-like creatures with multiple tentacles and very sharp sets of teeth, and despite not necessarily being the most strategic or the wisest of creatures, they are extremely powerful and only have one thing on their mind: to consume all life. In the same way that a regular weed will sort of try and take over a garden and consume all the nutrients from the soil, the Drengir are essentially focused on the same thing, trying to spread all across the galaxy and essentially just claim whatever they can, not in some imperial world domination type of scheme, but just in the way that certain plants or even viruses spread, as that's just essentially part of their nature. Now, these Drengir on this unknown planet do actually have Dez captured, and they've essentially poisoned him and his mind, making him a shell of his former self, and they eventually persuade him to fight Reath and try and take each other out. Reath manages to handle the situation extremely well, however, and they quickly escape back to the pod in which he arrived, which is on a single loop between this planet and the space station, so he quickly escapes the situation, rescuing Dez and taking him back to safety. However, the Drengir take the pod that Dez arrived in and follow them back to the station. Now, while all of that was happening, Orla and Cohmac, the two more senior Jedi of the story, are in the midst of their own battle with the Drengir back at the space station, as once those idols had been removed earlier on in the story, the Drengir aboard the space station were essentially free at last and were obviously on the hunt for anything that they could kill, seeing as that is really all they seem to care about. One of the Jedi actually managed to cut a Drengir right in half in one of these battles, and they quickly learned that the Drengir are actually able to heal themselves on the go, pretty much forming straight back into its regular shape and acting as if it hadn't just been sliced by one of the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. So this is obviously a massive revelation, and while the Drengir can be killed or injured in a way that renders them useless, they are much more formidable than the Jedi initially gave them credit for. Chaos unfolds throughout the rest of the story. The Jedi do manage to escape and head back to the safety of Coruscant. However, they now know about these Drengir creatures, and it's going to be very interesting to hear more about this storyline as it unfolds, as the Drengir could pose arguably a bigger threat to the Jedi than even the Nihil, so it seems there are now multiple dangerous enemies within this High Republic story. The Drengir are definitely some of the more odd, unique characters we've met so far in the High Republic, and just Star Wars in general, honestly. If you haven't read the books and seen the way that they were portrayed, then I can can definitely understand it probably seems a little bit weird hearing about sentient plants that are so dangerous to the Jedi, but honestly I thought they were really well written in Into the Dark, and I think so long as they are fleshed out enough throughout the rest of the story, they could end up being a really awesome group of villains similar to the Nihil, who are a little different than most of the enemies that we are used to within the Star Wars universe. Don't get me wrong, the idea of the Jedi and the Sith, or the Rebels and the Empire, going at each other are awesome, and they're what made Star Wars in the first place, but personally I am really excited to hear some sort of new, completely unique stories about some very different types of characters, and I think so far the Drengir do have a lot of potential to be a really solid group of enemies within this Star Wars universe. A lot of people will definitely hate on it without even reading or knowing anything about these characters, but if you have read the books, then definitely let me know what you think of the Drengir down in the comment section. Like I said, they are very unique, and there will be quite a few different opinions on these new characters, so I'm definitely keen to hear what you guys think of them so far. That is going to do it for this one though, guys. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
Crush them! Make them suffer!